Very much, Willem-Jan. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy and pleased to share my thoughts and share the Indonesian or Indo genealogy. So let me now share my screen. So here, and so this first lecture, our first session, is called Where to Start. And so it's the first of a series of 10 IGV tip genealogy webinars every second Saturday of the month by Zoom at at 9 a.m. Pacific time, whatever your local time is. So it's a 10-part webinar series hosted by the Indo Project and produced by our society, which is the East Indisch Genealogical Society, or IGV, Indische Genealogische Vereniging in Dutch. And so this is a screenshot of our webpage with news. The good thing is that our webpage can also be translated in English or Bahasa Indonesia or French or whichever language you're most familiar with. So the program for today is where to start. And in the coming weeks and months, we'll have topics like Dutch records, how to find them, military records, the East Indies civic records, what's called in Dutch the burgerlijke stand, repatriation from Indonesia to Holland, so where to find names and boats, finding your Indonesian foremothers, the VOC records, church records, DNA, how can you use your DNA profile to understand more about your East Indies roots, and as the last one is Chinese Indonesian genealogy. So every one of these topics is a huge topic, and I have 30 minutes every time, so you cannot cover absolutely everything in 30 minutes. However, I can show you where to start and which are the most logical entry points for your study if you have a specific question. And so apart from these 10, of course, there are many more other topics about East Indies genealogy. And for that, so the structure of each presentation is first 30 minutes, me or somebody else from our society, then 30 minutes question and answer. So you can ask everything in theory. So you can ask everything, and I'll try this time just to answer, making use of the online archives that are available at this time. And then there's still 30 minutes overflow time if there's specific discussions that take longer than we expected. All right. So then the question is, who am I? So I'm the guy in this picture to the left. And this here is what I'm doing every Saturday morning. I'm going for a run, and believe it or not, I used to live in the US for 4 years in the beautiful city of Memphis. I worked there as a scientist in St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. So this is a picture with a colleague of mine. But who am I really? So my name is Maarten Fornerod. I was born in the city of Delft in the Netherlands in 1963, November. Secretary of the society since 2018. My profession is biomedical researcher, and I also write of several topics. My father was born in Bandung in 1927, and he's on the picture on his wedding picture in 1956. He left the East Indies in 1939. And my mom, even though you can see she is Caucasian, 100% from Drenthe, she grew up in Sumatra and she lived there from 1925 to 1938. So she moved there with her parents when she was a really small child, baby even. Now, 17 years earlier, my dad leaves Dutch East Indies. So you can see his passport picture. So he's the middle one, together with my grandparents. Um, and then even 19 years before that, so this picture was taken in Batavia, where they lived. And 19 years earlier, they got married, and this picture is taken in the city of Gombong in the middle of Java. You see my grandparents, Rien and Paul Fornerod, and the whole family. And interesting, so this is a typical Dutch East Indies wedding picture with flowers and everybody in white, dressed in white. What is interesting is in the center of the picture there is the grandmother of the bride. So the grandmother of my grandmother, and she is a Javanese woman called Oma Chang. We called her Chang or Oma Chang. Um, Her real name was Esther. She was baptized, but nobody ever called her Esther. They always called her Chang. Um, there's this beautiful picture of four generations taken in 1925. If you happen to have four generations at the present, be sure to take a picture because this is a unique event. So this is Oma Chang. This is my great grandfather, Opa Wim. This is my grandmother, very young grandmother. She was born in 1900, so she was 25 at that time. And on her lap is my uncle Louis. Uncle, so this is five generations. So this was five generations of a one certain root of somewhat a certain branch. This is four generations of everybody. So in the middle is Oma Chang, and concentric are her sons, her grandsons, her great grandsons, and one of them is my father, this WPF, Willy, and this ALF is my uncle that you see here on the lap, age two probably, and he moved to the United States in the 1950s. So this whole branch, of course, there are now more layers, right? There's I think there's at least three layers of generations. Um, uh, in all time. So you see that uh, part of the family stayed in Indonesia, part of it moved to the Netherlands, but also many then transmigrated to either the United States or Canada or Australia. But this is Oom Louis, so he's American. His family is American. So if you ever see a foreigner road in California, it has to be a family member. Um, okay, so this is by way of introduction. This is a sneak preview of one of the coming webinars about our foremothers. And I'm showing it just because I couldn't resist showing it. This is the same branch of my oom Lou, my uncle Lou, who ended up in the United States. And so this is the female lineage, which is always more difficult to trace because the names change every generation. So at the bottom is my niece, Judy, in Newport Beach, California, 1977, with her daughter, Wendy. And one picture up is Judy as a baby with her mother, my aunt Dolly. And then here up there is my aunt Dolly as a child with her mother, and so that's 1923, and then 1903. There's also a picture of this grandmother together with her mother, and she is an Indonesian, and actually we know now she is from Sulawesi, woman, and even there's information one generation uh, before that. So the parents of her are also documented. But I'm not going to tell you how we got this information, but this is a preview of the topic of how do you find your foremothers instead of forefathers. All right. Okay. So that's me. So that's, yeah. So my question is, uh, who are you? So for that, we have a quick poll, and it's a classroom response website. I also used to teach a lot. And so you have 1 minute. So you go to menti.com, and there is this code, this 649610, and now I have to move this 1079. If you go there, you get 3 questions, and you have 1 minute, and then we'll see a little bit about who you are. So let's have a look. I go to see if it works. So this is also, of course, is also an experiment. So this is the, let me see, I can start presentation. Okay. Okay, we see now. I actually have to hide. I'm hiding the I'm hiding the results. Um, okay. All right. Mm, okay, 30 seconds to go. Maybe it's difficult if you're on your phone to also open this web, but no, it doesn't matter. Um, okay, 5 seconds. Then I close this poll just to have an idea what is how much you know about your Indo roots. Okay, so let's see the results. Um, and so nobody knows nothing. That's good. That's good because you know yourself, and if you have Indo roots, you know yourself. So it was also a bit of a trick question. Few names. Okay, there's a few of them. If you know some pictures, a lot of scattered info, and two of you have a pretty detailed knowledge about your Indo roots. Then the next question was about language. Um, so what do you speak? Most of you speak English, of course. Um, three of you speak Dutch, and nobody speaks Bahasa Indonesia. So I'm trying to learn it. So I'm on a conversation course, Bahasa Indonesia, because visiting the country, it makes a lot of sense. And then I will have a question in the Q&A. One person for sure, and 5 person don't know yet. Okay, all right. Good. So I know a little bit more about you. So most of you have some knowledge, but not very in-depth knowledge about in the, your East Indies or your Indo roots. All right. So now, so where to start? The first thing that you should do when you start uh, to become interested in your family history is visit your family, and preferably visit the oldest generations of your family. Ask what they know. Take along your own photo albums if you have them from yourself, from your parents, or from your grandparents. Ask them for their old photo albums. Do they have old certificates, old letters, old items from the East Indies? And the reason that you have to start visiting your own family is that in your own family drawers, there is information that you can never find in any archive, right? And so there's items that is letters, certain certificates that are or almost for sure not present in any archive, even in digital archive or not. So it's sometimes it's a rich source. So if you have it, go visit your family. And then the second thing is visit our website. So the IGV website, it has a lot of information, and we also have it can also be translated. So if you go to igv.nl, you can choose English or Bahasa Indonesia or Spanish or French. And the translations are translated by Google. Does a pretty good job. in translating. Not everything is perfect, but it's reasonable translation. So then you get to search guide and advice. So we always say, okay, if you if you're starting, first look at the search guide and advice, and it's a bullet, it's a numbered list. It's here the first eight, but I think it goes down to maybe 15 or 16 points, a step-by-step plan. We have 1,600 members in our society. Most of them are Dutch, but the second country with most memberships is actually the United States. I think we have 25 to 30 US members. Um, and so step by step, so call all your uncles, aunts, etc. And then a couple of things that you can easily do from your home. For example, search the Dutch Indies newspapers in Delpher, search the open archives, civil registry, Roosjeroos. So I'm going to show you a couple of these points, so you get a feeling of how easy or how difficult it is to navigate that for a non-Dutch speaker. Let's see. So the first one is you can search the East Indies newspapers, local newspapers of the time of the colonial era, so before 1942. Also, there newer papers, of course, and you can translate this web page in your browser. I'm using Firefox, but I think almost all browsers have this little symbol of multilingual, and then it will translate it into English. So it's now Delpher, find out more over and over again, and sometimes so search text all collections. So I can show you how that works. Um, so then I go to so you just go to Delpher. Let me just start with This is Delpher. And so you see now it's in Dutch, but if you translate it here into English, it will it will it will show a reasonable translation. So if for instance if you so I'm searching for a random name, Brederode. See what happens if you search that. And then you get an awful lot of hits. Every time you have to click translate again. So it's book basics, book. So I usually then you go to newspapers articles. You see the 79,000 looks like a lot. You get a warning. You get a warning. Don't never mind the warning. But because you can filter, and you can filter here for Dutch East Indies, Indonesia. And then there's only 2,200 records left. And then you can filter more. For example, you can filter 19th century, and you can filter family message. And then it becomes already manageable, because then you have only 114 newspaper articles. Okay, so the news articles are, of course, in Dutch. So if you click here, you'll see. I'm sorry, this is wrong. If you click here, you'll see a family advertisement. Right, so it's a wedding announcement of a Brederode with a Mrs. Dome. If you don't speak Dutch, you can easily translate it. Of course, you cannot translate an image, but the images can be exported as text. So here you can download it as a text, and so this is then this text, and you see. Um, uh, this is a text generation of this hit, and then you just use Google Translate to translate it from Dutch to English. And then you see indeed here entered into holy matrimony the first lieutenant quartermeister Brederode and Mrs. blah 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 Batavia personal allowance delivered a daughter. So it's a yeah, so it's an easy way to get access to this enormous amount of newspaper articles, thanks to the scanning of all these newspaper articles in the library in the Netherlands, and then OCR, so optical text recognition, optical character recognition. Okay. So this is one thing that you should certainly uh, dive into if you're looking. So the East Indies newspapers. Um, another another digital archive that you should certainly look at is the CBG, and the CBG is the Center for Family History, and they have a collection of East Indies sources with 300,000 scans, and you can these days there is also the passport requests, because after the independence of Indonesia and in the 50s, the people with a European nationality, most of them Dutch, they had to choose either to become Indonesian or leave the country. And many of them chose to leave the country, but for that they had to prove that they were uh, European citizens, and then they had to request a passport, and so all of these passports requests are um, are available now, and they are indexed. So I can show you also how that works. So you go to CBG, see the CBG collections. Let me see the passport archive. You go to the verzamelingen. So this is the same screen that I showed you before with 300,000 East Indies sources. And for example, you search for, again, Brederode, um, and then you get, let's see, search. Then there are 15 hits. And here also you can translate this. So here again, if you want, you can translate it into English, East Indian sources. And so there are many Brederodes, for example. But strange thing is, of course, van is then translated into of, but it doesn't matter. So you can then view directly this image. And this image is this passport request. And the nice thing is there's always also a picture. So this request is done in May 1950, and so it has the name, it has the date of birth, it has the nationality, but it also has the mother and the father, and the first names of the mother and the first name of the father, and the birth date and where they were born, and the mother, and so there's and the marriage. So there's a lot of information that you probably cannot find anywhere else in this passport requests, and also these pictures. I mean, sometimes it's the only picture that's left of this person. Um, so that's another thing that you should certainly look at. The URL is here, cbgverzamelingen.nl. Well, the next thing that you should visit is the civic registry in the colonial times, and that is indexed in a website called Roosjeroos, or translated into Roosjeroos. So this is an English translation of this website, and it's an index of the civic registry. So let's say birth, death, marriages, but it doesn't have the underlying information. So it's only date, name, and that's it, and place. And so I can also show you how that works. So I go to Roosjeroos. And so you go and translate into English, translate. Then it becomes Rose Rose, not Rolls Royce, but Rose Rose. Read. You have to click Read More, and and again, then translate in English, right? Translate English. The civic status of. So sometimes the translation is a bit weird, but family name. Okay, let's say family name, Brede Rode. And then the insert is the Vans, etc. So Van, so it's a prefix, Van Brederode. Let's see. So you can check birth, marriages, death, and zoeken, so search. You can, and then you immediately find 8 results. The family name, Van Brederode. Um, and so be sure to translate it into English again. Family name, first name. And if you click here, then you see the information that's in this database. So there's a birth, a child named Geertruida Adriana van Brederode. The birth is Tegal, and the date of birth 17th of September 1990. So this is also in combination with the Dutch newspapers, where there's sometimes a record, an announcement of the birth. In combination with that, you can already build quite a family tree using that. Okay, um, then uh, this is the same. Then there is the IGV has the Indisch Archief, so the East Indies Archive. It has 2 million records. However, it's IGV members only. And that is because this professional database has a really high costs, a couple of €1,000 per year to maintain. It's a professional database, it backs up, etc. It's safe. Also, due to European privacy regulations, you cannot put all of this information free into the internet. However, the webinar participants can request a free access for 3 months. And you just do that by sending a message to me, to the secretary. Of course, you can also become a member, uh, which is €24 a year. Okay, the URL of this Indisch archive is this one. It's a bit of an awkward URL, but I put it in the PowerPoint. This PowerPoint will be shared, so you can easily copy paste. How I always enter it, I go to the web homepage of IGV, and then I go to sources, the Dutch East Indies Archive. And then I click here. Then you come to this page. It has 30 archives and collections, but you have to log in. See, I'm logged in, and if you have to register, and I have to give you access. So it's a little bit of a procedure to get there. But then you have a lot of information. Brederode, I'll use the same name. You can say search. There's one result, but it's not one result. There's a result in one sub-archive. It's called persons. You can also translate this into English, by the way. See, it has one result, one search results in persons. And if you see what kind of results these are, then you see that's 571 results. So that seems like a lot. It is a lot, but you can filter. I can translate into English. So you have military records. There's all kind of records. There's um, uh, birth certificates. There's marriage certificates. There's personal file, etc. Military. Just as an example, if you click here, so now it has translated also the first names, but that doesn't matter. Um, you can click, and then you immediately get access to the what's it called? The stamboek. stud book of this person, and you can see here, if you can see that indeed Johannes Jacobus van Brederode is here, and his father is mentioned, his mother is mentioned, his birth city, city of Haarlem. That's coincidental. I'm living in Haarlem at the moment. Um, and you see the ship in which this military person went from the Netherlands to the Dutch East Indies, the stoomschip Tromp, so steamship Tromp. And there's lots of information here as well. But the exact, what everything means exactly, we'll have a webinar about just this military records, but just to show you how rich this Indies archive is. So I invite you to send me a message and to try it for yourself. Okay, so this is another Van Brederode. The IGV also organizes study trips. Every year we go 2 weeks to Indonesia with a group of IGV members, and we visit the archives. We drive through Jakarta on a scooter. We eat durian, and we meet lots of people. Okay, so I think I'm 30 minutes away. So thank you for your attention. Thank you also the board of the IGV. Arthur Fickel is our president. He's also in the Zoom. René, Evert, Ilona, Elvire. I thank Willem Jan, of course, and all Team TIP and all IGV volunteers, past and present. So thank you very much for your attention. And I think the floor is open for questions.